Hey everyone, we are Harlan and Naya, and welcome to our pop culture series, Riding the Wake. If you're
Woo!
enjoying our content, please like and subscribe. Today's show is about Flying with Serenity. We'll be discussing the short lived sci fi classic television series Firefly and its complementary movie Serenity, and how a band of misfits with a bona fide companion becomes family and comes together in the worst circumstances and pulls through, and what that has to do with paddling, investing, and the world we're living in today. But before we jet off to hang with Nathan Fillion and the gang, Nao, what events are coming up in the Southern California area?
Well, Harlan, as you know, everybody is gearing up for single and two-man racing with Winter Series just around the corner. So the only race that we have coming down the pipeline is the San Diego Classic hosted by the San Diego Outrigger Canoe Club. This is happening on October 29th at Crown Point. It's Halloween themed, so you know there's going to people be dressing up like me. And so, with that in mind, they're going to have a costume contest for best costume for single and group costume category. And there is a cash prize.
Oh, that's
Woo!
that's nice.
I know. Cash. Who doesn't like cash?
People like
Uh,
cash.
People love cash. And people love racing. So,
So
you
is
want
this
to
a
do the
race or is this a parade?
it's a race that's going to end up like a parade, I think. But if you want to race and if you want to get in the action, register on paddleguru.com. Registration fee is $30, but that includes a race jersey. They're giving you guys a race jersey for
Oh,
that.
that's pretty cool.
Awesome.
That
Yeah,
$30 is usually the race jersey expense anyway. So
I know.
it's basically like, well, it's bargain, I would say. It's a
Yeah, this
bargain.
is the bargain of the paddling year right now, the race. So go to paddleguru.com/race/San Diego Classic. I can't wait. I'm going to be dressing up. Are you going to be dressing up, Harlan?
Uh Here's the thing. My costumes tend to be so my taste in costumes lends itself toward things like big flowing cloaks, heavy jackets, like big things. And I just like things that would absorb a lot of water if they were dragging behind me. And if I fell in, I don't know if my PFD would hold me up. So,
Yeah, and the
however,
lightsaber. The lightsaber wouldn't do much good on the OC, right?
and I don't want to commit to anything particular here, but but I am going to be making design type things for writing the wake, and they might have something to do with cosplay. They might not, but they might. They might happen soon.
They might
It
not.
might take a while. We don't know. I can guarantee you that they're not going to be ready by October 31st for Halloween. So sorry about that. But yeah. So on that note,
We'll keep you posted. We'll
yeah,
keep
we'll
everybody
keep you
posted.
posted. We'll keep you posted. So is that it for the racing?
Yeah, apparently that's the only thing we got coming down the pipe. So, shall we step aboard Serenity and fly with Nathan Fillion and his gang?
Yeah, let's definitely do that. So I have a fond memory of this show because I was in the hospital when I discovered it.
Oh,
Or sorry,
wow.
I wasn't in the hospital when I discovered it. I was recovering from a stint in the hospital when I discovered it. And I had lost a lot of body mass and I was weak and I was sitting on my butt at home doing basically nothing, and Netflix had delivered this mysterious show that had, like, at the time they had star ratings instead of the thumbs up thumbs down, and it had like 4.5 stars, like highly recommended for me, 4.9 stars, like super highly recommended for me. I was like, what is this thing? I've never heard of it. What is Firefly? I'm unaware. And I had gotten all the discs shipped to me, and there were only 3 discs, I guess, because it's not a very long show, and we'll explain that. And I popped those in and I started watching it, and I was like, and keep in mind this was 2003,
Okay, so the
4.
year after it came out. So it came out in 2002.
Yeah, so I did not watch it on television. I think it's very, very few people watched it on television. It was not well marketed. It was not put on the right evening. It was very expensive to make, and yet it was not given a lot of commitment in around marketing, which didn't make any sense. It's like, all right, if you're going to spend millions of dollars on a show, shouldn't you, try to get people to pay attention to it? Anyway, I saw it and I was like, wow, this is the best thing I have ever seen for science fiction on television before. And it was cutting edge at the time. And so I recommended this to you, Naya, since you had never seen it before, and since you're a Nathan Fillion fan, right?
Yes.
And I
Yes.
was like, well, how can you be a Nathan Fillion fan if you've never seen his breakout role as Captain Malcolm Reynolds on Firefly? I just didn't understand how someone could be a fan of his without seeing that.
And my response was, well, I I liked him when he was doing the murder mystery author, thing, and you're like, oh, I get it now.
Oh, that.
That
Oh,
Castle,
that Castle. I
Castle,
did watch several seasons of Castle.
and I was like, I like him. He's awesome. And then you're like, you have to watch this. You have to watch this.
Yeah.
So
And
that's
then
why
and
I
then
did.
after you watch it, you realize, oh, Malcolm Reynolds and Castle are the same person.
Pretty much. Except he doesn't have a band of misfits around him in Castle. He has a cop, another cop, another cop, a daughter, and his mother, and these friends that are writers. So like John Grisham and all that stuff. So
Yeah.
yeah,
So
so yes,
let's get into a little bit about what Firefly is about. I get that there are some people who maybe watch this show who probably were not even born when when Firefly and Serenity came out. So because we do have some young viewers, my
yes.
apologies to their parents. So
Well,
like,
we
what is this show about, and should people watch it if they haven't seen it?
okay. So basically, what the show is about is this guy who we'll call Mal. Uh, he is basically an outlaw, if we can say that. He was
I
a
think that's
was
fair.
yeah. So in his year of this world that he's living in, it's not unlike ours. You had the government and you had a band of people. The government is trying to bring everybody together, but it's so colluded and just everything's just falling apart. Um, and so what happens is these people who are on Earth, because we've basically raped the Earth, we've depleted the Earth of its resources in Mal's time, that we've had to go up into space. Of course, there's the themes of separation, classification of groups of people, law and order, governmental agencies. They're creating problems and not fixing problems, but they're thinking that they're fixing problems when they're actually making more problems. So this guy Mal gets these guys. They get a ship named Serenity, and they go and they're basically hired pirates, if we want to use that word, or
I would
outlaws.
choose smugglers rather than pirates.
Well, yeah,
Not to
I
say
mean,
they're above piracy.
no, there you go. So they steal from a lot of people, and
They do. They do steal.
yeah, and
Yes.
so it's one of those things, but it's the old story of taking from the rich, taking for yourself, but also trying to keep your group of people together and stable, because there are so many episodes in this, which this series that was short lived, that there's you know somebody who comes in and tries to kill the whole gang, and so he sends them away, and he's the only one on the ship trying to control the ship, and they come back and help him. There's a kind of a psychic girl who he's trying to save from the government, because they actually created her as the perfect person who can envision the future and do all this stuff with her brother. It's you got to watch it. It's really good. Unfortunately, they cut it off, so you didn't know how the series ended, and then they made the movie Serenity to fill in those gaps. It's so I don't know whether I like that or not. Um, and if you do watch the show, you'll recognize people who are big names now.
Yeah, they're famous now. Almost everybody from the show has gone on to star in many other things. And you'll often see them as guest stars on each other's work. Alan
Yeah.
Tudyk, for example, has become a go-to voice actor for Pixar.
Mm.
He's sort of like their good luck charm. Alan Tudyk's in a lot of Pixar films.
Then you had the famous Ron Glass up there.
Oh, actually, it's not Pixar. It's Disney Animation.
Ooh.
Disney Animation. So for example, in Frozen,
Mm.
the Baron of Weaselton, that's Alan Tudyk, I believe. Um, he plays like a he plays he's in a lot of stuff. He's like
Yeah.
they
He
pepper
plays
him
an
in here and there, and you're like, oh, that's him. He's
Yeah.
really good at voice acting.
He's actually also the main character for Resident Alien. I think it's a Netflix or a show where he plays an
Oh
alien
yeah,
from
yeah,
outer
yeah.
space, and he's like, yeah. So
I
I
haven't
want to
seen
watch
that
that.
one. Yeah,
Ron
he's
Glass
very
is
funny.
yeah.
Ron Glass is also
Well,
awesome. He's
as
awesome. He's a
as
great straight man.
oh my god, yeah. He's
Great straight
awesome.
man.
He's awesome, and he plays a very religious man
A
in this.
very a very religious man. Yeah, I think that's fair.
And then you have a bona fide companion.
Which is I think the best way to explain a companion to those who are not familiar with the series, they are not prostitutes. Just want to make
No.
that clear. They are similar to a geisha because I would say it's the closest analogy would be a geisha.
Yeah.
So a very strict sort of code of both ethics and how they present themselves,
Yeah.
and they provide distinct services to clients of high end wealth.
Yeah. And so the thing that I loved about the companion and Mal's relationship, which I find very disturbing too, is the fact that he makes it a point to always tell her, "Oh, she's nothing but a whore. She's nothing but And the fact that she
Yeah,
actually
that's
comes
Joss
back,
Whedon coming out
yeah,
right there.
yeah, exactly. That's another thing we have to talk about.
Josh.
but
Josh Whedon.
Josh, we didn't. Um, and the fact that she comes back and says, for a man who says that he has no interest in me, you really have interest in me because you are calling me all these things. You want to check up on my clients. You're so you either I'm a whore or I'm not. But it's just like he has to be. She just basically lays it out on the table, like as all women should be like. No, she's getting in her power, and she's not letting him get off that easy, which I love, which I freaking love. I love that. So just for that alone, you need to see this.
Yeah, the interaction between the characters in the show is actually spectacularly well done. The actors, I feel like really get all of their roles and they lean in super hard. I think part of it might have to do with the fact that like just the casting was excellent. I don't know who did the casting for it, but
Bravo to you. Yeah.
kudos to whoever was in charge of casting all these folks. Fabulous job all around. Like even side characters like the spectacular woman who later went on to be in Mad Men.
Yes.
What's her name? Oh geez, on the show, Mrs. Reynolds. she was
And
she didn't have her own name because
yeah,
she's a con artist, so they
yeah,
never learn her real name. They just
yeah,
called her Mrs. Reynolds because she married Mal in one of the
yeah,
episodes.
yeah. And
Sorry,
then
spoiler.
then then the guy that they first met,
But the
the
episode is called
yeah,
Mrs. Reynolds, so
yeah.
like it's not
It's
really a
in the
spoiler.
title.
It's
Yeah,
like it's the premise. It's like you learn this in the first minute, so it's like
yeah.
not a spoiler.
So quick little tidbit before we get done with Serenity and Firefly. The guy who they went to see in the first episode, the guy with the accent, the
Yes.
yes,
Oh, the guy with the British accent,
yeah,
the dubious little sort
yeah,
of
yeah,
smarmy,
yeah,
like he's some sort
yeah.
of like
He
I
wasn't
don't
the
know, a
old
low
guy.
level.
Yeah,
He's like a low level like mob kind
yeah,
of
guy.
operative,
Yeah.
but he's
So
not
he
a
wasn't.
boss or anything.
No, he wasn't the guy that they went to see after who kidnapped the pilot and was beating him to death and stuff like that.
Yeah, yeah.
Uh, so that guy actually made a career. He was in Supernatural. He played one of the demons in Supernatural.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, that's right. That's right. I'm like, I know him. I'm very familiar with him. He was the demon. Oh my. Oh, the name was right on the tip of my tongue for a second.
He wasn't the devil, but
No, he wasn't the devil.
he was
Crowley. He's
Cruella.
Crowley. He's
Yes.
Crowley. Oh, he's so good
when
as
he
Crowley too.
when he came on screen, I'm like, dude,
Dude, it's Crowley.
Kelly. Yeah. See how bad we are. We're like just oh my god. Da, da, da. So everything
So,
lines up.
like, yeah, this show is a fount of great acting and also great writing. I will say that.
Yes,
Unfortunately, it is directed and showrun by Joss Whedon,
our little friend there.
our friend who is like basically like kind of betrayed his fandom by being as much of a jerk as possible, um and
Yeah.
now he kind of doesn't have shows anymore. Like the last thing he did was the Nevers, and even though I think it was probably an okay show. I don't think anybody watched it just because they're like they don't want to support Joss anymore. So
No, I
it's
mean, yeah,
very anyway, and he hates when people call him Josh. So
we're gonna say it
Josh,
till
Josh, we done with you, as Naya said earlier.
we done, dude. We done, dude.
But
Like,
I mean, in the spirit of separating the art from the artist,
yeah.
Firefly is excellent. One of my favorite science fiction shows. So don't that a lot of people worked on this show and they deserve the credit for it. And it's not all Josh's thing. So
Yeah.
go ahead and watch it and don't feel bad about it until afterwards.
Yeah. And actually, go rent Serenity. You can rent it
Yeah, you
on
got to watch
Am-
Serenity.
Amazon Prime because it fills in all those gaps. It actually wraps up um, the whole TV series, and you understand what has happened. And let
Yeah,
me
there are
tell you,
so many missing, like
those
there's so many dangling threads because they
yeah,
basically cut it off at episode 14.
yeah.
And fun fact, they only showed it on television up to episode 12. They had two more episodes in the can, and they're just like, we're not going to show them. It yeah. So
But the creepers were the best.
they're not called creepers.
Were they creepers? Those
No, they're
demon like
called no, they're
they were
called
scavengers. They were
they're
scavengers or something.
they're called something else. It's
Anyway,
fine. It's fine. Don't
but they're
call them
cool.
what they're supposed to be called because then people will be surprised.
Yeah. So anyway,
Exactly. Exactly.
Listen to Hooli.
Listen to
All right.
Hooli. Hooli knows.
So yeah. So do it, but I would like to say that I am still gonna blame why we only had one season of this. What is it because
Is it because of
Josh?
Josh?
Is it because of him? Do we know?
Well, I don't know if we can blame him for that one. There is a woman who is an executive at Fox at the time, and she does take responsibility. I think I saw like a article where she's like, "Yeah, I canceled that one. We weren't getting the ratings for it." I mean, it's always hard, right? You don't know something's going to become a cult classic afterwards.
Mm-hmm.
Star Trek, when you cancel it, right? You don't know something's going to become like amazingly popular afterwards, even though it's, a science fiction thing. And for some reason, science fiction audiences kind of like their shows and they kind of watch them slowly and over and over and over again. But
Oh
nobody
yeah.
knew that when Star Trek got canceled, and apparently no one realized that when Firefly got canceled. So I think
Well,
she does
yeah.
take some responsibility for that, but I also wonder, like, and it was very in her to understand her point of view. It was a fantastically expensive show at the time to produce. The Firefly set. So you got to understand that ship was constructed much like the Millennium Falcon was constructed. It was a
Oh.
practical set. You could walk from one end of it to the other and do a consistent follow shot, and they did that because they're like, well, if we
Oh.
if we built this, like in episode 1, like Joss is literally holding the camera and like walking behind Nathan as he's running down from one end of the ship to the other because they
Mm.
wanted to show the entire set, and they're like, this is a contiguous thing. There is
Oh,
one
okay.
cut, I believe. I think the ship is cut into segments, so
Yeah.
there's like because they can remove the walls so that they can like put cameras and stuff. But and I think there's a different area for the there's a part of the ship where there's basically there's
Well,
a
there
big
was the kitchen
holding
area.
area, the kitchen
There.
area where they put all the cows.
Okay, so that was in
The
that
shipping
was
area where
yeah,
they
that
play
was the ship.
basketball, where they have
That
the
yeah, that
cows.
was down below
Yeah,
the shipping.
that I think that's separate from the rest of the ship, where you can walk through from the you can basically walk from the engine room that's in the far rear,
Mm-hmm.
where Kaylee sits, all the way up to the cockpit where you would drive, and
Oh,
everywhere in between.
Kaylee was so sweet.
Kaylee's so sweet.
She was so sweet.
Such great characters in that show. I
Yeah,
highly recommend it.
yeah,
But like I said, um, it took a lot to put together that show. It takes a lot to put together any kind of show, and
yeah.
the characters in that show embody this idea of this sort of rowdy group of people who don't really belong together, who have decided to stick it together
Yeah.
and do something amazing. And in the spirit of that, we just did something like this.
Oh yeah.
The San Diego Dragon Boat Festival just happened, and let's talk a minute about, like, what does it take to put on a successful dragon boat festival. What makes a successful team? What makes a successful festival? Because even though I was working at it and it was hard work, I felt like I had a lot of fun. I was burned for the next like 4 days afterwards. Like physically, I was exhausted, and I'll explain why as we get to this. But and I know
Well,
that you've been working on this behind the scenes with
oh,
the board for a while, and you don't have to talk about board stuff necessarily, but thank you. Thank you to the board, and thank you to all the volunteers and to all the people who came to participate. Some folks flew in. We had a team come in from Vancouver. That was Juice, Vancouver, BC, not Vancouver. Um,
uh,
yeah, not the other
Washington
Vancouver. And we had a team from New York, I believe. Was
and
that really
Boston.
NYPD? Was there a
Yes.
Boston team?
Yeah, they Living Roots from Boston. They came on Saturday. They just did the Saturday races.
And there were a
New York.
whole ton of local Southern California teams who came
Yeah.
out, corporate teams that came out, volunteer folks. So there was a
Yeah.
lot of people
So
who
thank you.
helped us out.
So
Yeah.
thank you.
Thank you, everybody. Like everybody made that
Yeah.
event awesome. And some it was super sweet. Like some of the juice folks, they like even came down and helped us with like managing the boats and stuff like that. They didn't have to do that,
Oh
but it was so
no.
nice of them. So yeah,
Yeah.
everybody threw in to help because it's like
Yeah.
this one big awesome community.
So yeah. So like you said, I worked behind the scenes, for several months with the board. So shout out to Lisa Menard, Donna Robertson, Sylvia Lycos, Alan Lowley. Hopefully I said that right. Alan, don't kill me. I don't know your last name. Um, Michael Chang and Karen Jewell, who all sit on the board of San Diego Dragon Boat team with me. There was a lot of planning. So basically, from uh, early, late January, early February, we were planning this. We're like, okay, so when do we want to have it? Let's try to get that date. Okay, so what are we going to have? So as things got closer and closer, we kind of tightened the ropes and saying, okay, we need food vendors, we need vendors, we need this, we need this. So it was all a team effort. And let me tell you, you think being on a board normally is good, but anytime there is an event, personalities are going to come out. And some people are going to take something that you said personal or the wrong way. And that's when you have to realize that you are all working for a greater cause and you have to rise above it. So there are some things that, might be said that you're just going to have to let it go until you can talk to that person after the fact. And then after the fact, you really is like, is it really a big deal to bring this up or
Yeah,
bring
and
that up?
you can't just put them in the airlock,
No, no, unfortunately you
right?
can't.
It's not like Serenity. You can't just put them in the airlock.
No. So you
You
kind
have
of
to
have,
talk through your problems.
yeah, you have to talk through your problems and you have to work together. And I just, it's just an amazing thing to be able to go through that and have our team, not just the board, but the team in general rally for one another. Like we had people who were on porta potty duty, making sure that there was enough toilet paper and everything. We had the beach crew that you guys were in charge of making sure people got on the boat, got off safely, and
Cleaning the boats, keeping them
cleaning the
from
boat
getting slippery.
from getting scratched, on the bottom too. I mean, everybody had a job. Unfortunately, I had a surgery scheduled the week of our Monday, and everybody was telling me, no, don't go, don't go. we got it, we got it. You just got, no. And I'm like, no, I'm going. And what my job was
She doesn't mean we
to,
weren't telling her not to go to the surgery. We were saying don't go to the festival like while you're
yeah,
trying to recovery from his surgery.
a major surgery anyway. Yeah,
And
who does
she's
that?
like, "Here I come in my in my
My
what
wheelchair.
my wheelchair with my walker."
Yeah. And so basically what I did was I went to teams and I interviewed them and I was asking people how how was it paddling after COVID? What does it mean to be here? And that was my contribution. And I was just happy to see everybody after, because I'm just so stubborn. I don't want to follow any orders. We already know this
We
because
can
I was texting you and I'm like, I
I
might
can
be a
verify
practice.
this. I
I
can
might be a
verify this.
practice. I might be a practice.
Might be a practice.
And you're like, no. No, you're gonna stay home. So, and just that. I and everybody was happy. We made it successful. We had so many comments of how it was a first class event and that they're coming back because
Well, that's great to hear. I'm
yeah,
glad.
yeah. So I
It's
mean that was
hard to put on these events, especially these days.
oh yeah,
Like I unfortunately haven't, got that much experience with this particular event, even though I've been on the team since 2019. I joined the team, I think, a month or two after we had done our festival in 2019. And so for 2020, 2021, we didn't do a festival,
no.
right? It was too much COVID. We couldn't have large events outdoors. We couldn't get, I'm assuming we couldn't get permits.
Well, we were scared because there is
A lot
a
of people would have been flying to us,
yeah,
right? We don't want
yeah,
to be the cause of
no,
like people getting ill. We have a lot of folks who paddle with us who are cancer survivors. We have a lot of folks who
yeah,
paddle with us who are older. It's a great inclusive paddling community,
yeah,
but that also means we have to be careful, right, about how we treat people.
yeah. And the fact is that with our permits, and I can tell you this that and for anybody who is thinking about putting on a event within San Diego, they will upfront tell you they will shut you down. They don't have to have a reason. They
The
can say the
you mean
city,
the city?
yeah, they can tell you a week in advance that you're shutting down. They
Yeah,
can tell
well, I
you,
mean
yeah,
that's
and so that's always, I think that was more in the back of my mind. I'm
yeah,
like, no,
yeah.
no, 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 we can't do this. We gotta do this. We gotta do this.
And there was a
But yeah,
lot of risk at that point because they were like, it was whipsawing. It was like, oh, you can wear masks. Oh, you can't wear masks. Oh, you can go to restaurants. Oh, you can't go to restaurants.
yeah,
Like until this year, really,
yeah,
everything was very very transitional and back and forth, and
yeah,
there wasn't enough solidity, and there wasn't enough vaccination, and there wasn't enough
yeah,
safety ability. There weren't enough
yeah,
tests. Like the world's changed so much since
yeah,
2020, and we've started to normalize things so much that now I'm like, I still have my masks and sometimes I'll even wear them,
yes.
but I gotta admit, I just went to a big conference. And the preview of the next thing I'm going to
We're
be
gonna
talking
talk.
about,
Yeah.
at some point, I'm going to talk about the Illumina Genomics Conference, which was here in San Diego recently. Um, and I went to this conference, and when we went in, we had to all verify that we had vaccinations. Also,
Mhm.
this is a genomics conference, so most of these
Oh
people are
God.
are either like scientists or doctors or people who have, an interest in those things. So not only did we have to show that we had all our vaccinations, we also had to take a swab test when we got there the day of the first thing
Oh wow.
before they would even give us our badge. And I was like, oh, this is fine. And I was like thinking about it, I'm like, I'm just gonna take off my mask. Like, if there's any group of people I feel safe with, it's this weird group of science nerds who are here for like a genomics conference. So but unfortunately not all events are like that.
No,
Yeah.
no. So, so with the paddling, um, with the festival, there are other things like you worry about everyone around you and how that worrying is detrimental to your growth as a paddler. If you're in a boat or, just helping out, you're thinking, well, why is so and so doing this and but I'm doing this? They should be doing this the same. It's
Yeah. Yeah.
so I mean
It's
there's
a
a
paddling disease. I'm sure it's a disease in all sports. It's like, oh, you're not doing the form that I want you to be doing. And especially
yes.
in paddling, like, because the boat moves as one and you want to try to match up with everybody, um, there's that tendency to be like, well, I've been working on this for a while. Why didn't everyone?
Yeah.
but we
It
have
just
to walk that, like you wrote, we have to walk that fine line of being hard, stubborn, and being people's friends, and also like accepting people for where they are in their training. Like, you
yeah.
can't coach a boat during a race.
Please don't coach a boat during the race. I beg of you not to do that.
You can only encourage at that point. There's nothing else to do. But but like, there's that balance, right? And you want to try to maintain it. I have a ton of respect for everyone who comes out and trains with us and races with us, regardless of whether or not they can train all the time, whether they train in another location, whether they're racing with us. It is hard, though, to take your adult ego out of it, right? and
I was
and,
gonna
and to
say,
just
yeah.
express that appreciation at the time.
So you appreciated my expression at the time, Harlan. Is that it?
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. You're awesome, man. You're very encouraging, coach.
No, yeah, totally. You do have to give props to people who come out and try because first of all, this is not an easy sport.
It's
It's
not.
not like picking up a bat or a club and swinging because everybody can swing. And then somebody can teach you how to refine your swing for your golf um, match or your baseball game,
Your baseball
whatever.
match.
Yeah, match
Hmm. Yeah,
game.
exactly. It's
But
just like that.
paddling
It's like
is it's so
dancing.
different.
I want to
It's
say it's
so
like
different.
dancing. So, like, imagine going into a dance crew and you're like a great dancer, but the dance crew is there and they're like, all right, we're going to dance this standard dance that everybody knows. Say, like, it's like, I don't know,
A
Macarena,
waltz.
a
Oh
waltz. I don't
God.
know. I don't know. What's a dance everybody knows? It's like a uh,
Well,
basic
that
sort of
well, I
thing.
mean, if you're talking about the Rockettes, you got that leg, flying up in the air.
Yeah,
Like the
yeah.
rock.
So
Yeah,
let's say you're doing leg kicks, right? And you've been
yeah,
doing your leg kicks with your team, and they've been doing your leg kicks with their team, and there are subtle differences, right? And you
yeah,
look different, and um, you we all have to learn to accept that and like do the best with it what we can, right?
yeah.
Because it's gonna happen, right? And filling boats is so hard, right? Filling boats is so hard. I know this. I know this for a fact because even though I've never actually tried to fill a boat because I know better, because I've had a similar experience, I've been trying to fill tables at charity events. Filling
Oh.
tables at charity events is very much the same thing. Trying to get people to commit, trying to get people to be there at the time. You're like, yeah, like you go through so much. Just it takes a long time. It takes a lot of energy, and it takes a lot of commitment from people. And so,
Mhm.
like having a team of people, 20 people who are all ready to go, all the time you need them to go, or 18 people in the case of our race. All right, question: why were we racing with 18 instead of 20? Was it because of the
No, so
wonkiness? What?
we
All
well,
right, so
you have
it's a big deal. But question for you, as far as like, I actually didn't ask this at the time. I was just like, all right, 18 people to a boat. Whatever they said is the law. But I'm like, why did we raise 18 instead of 20?
so 18 paddlers, 18 paddlers. So you can have 20 people in the boat,
Yeah, yeah,
but 18 paddlers. So you have a full boat, you have your steers person and your drummer.
yeah.
So what my my thinking was is that we were only counting paddlers. We weren't counting the the steersman or the drummer. Because usually we have 20 people in the boat. That's how I count 20 people. You have the steersman, you have the drummer, you have your paddlers.
Maybe you misunderstand what I was saying.
Maybe I am.
So when we were loading people up into the boats,
Uh huh.
the crew of the boat was 20 with 18 paddlers. That was the maximum for our 20-seat boats.
Oh,
So ordinarily, if
we
you
would have
had a
25.
full boat, like if you're doing a full boat race, you would have 22 people on the boat. You would have a drummer, you would have a steer, and then you would have 20 paddlers.
Uh,
But for whatever reason, we were only running 18, and I wasn't quite sure why we did that.
I,
Was it just some of the teams were short, and so we decided to make it fair?
you know what? I really don't know.
Hmm.
And that's probably not the answer you wanted to
No,
hear.
no, that's okay. That's okay.
Um,
It might be a question for like Lisa or somebody like
yeah,
that.
I mean,
I don't know.
but I mean, I think that, in my mind, you have 18 paddlers and then you have the steersman and then the drummer, which makes 20 in a
But you've
boat.
got an empty seat then.
Yeah,
Well, you've
you
got
have
two
an
empty
empty
seats.
you have an empty row.
Yeah.
Yeah, you have empty rows. But here's the funny thing. You'll have 20 paddlers, you know, on a crew plus your steersman and your drummer, so that makes 22, right? Right? On your list, right? If you
22. Ordinarily, a boat's crew is 22. Yeah.
22. Plus you have alternates.
Sure.
So you'll have 24 or 26,
24,
right?
26 on the team.
So yeah.
Or even
So
more. I mean, if you're running
yeah.
multiple teams.
Yeah. But it was like I don't know why we chose that. 18 is probably the magic number that we just landed on. I could tell you that we spun the wheel and it just landed on 18,
I bet I bet that's what it is. Yeah.
So yeah, so
So
I I think it's a win-win, um or win-lose, whatever you think, but you always have to, and I'm learning this as I've been in this game for a while now. And I say a while, over 5 years. I'm sure
okay.
people have
People have
more.
been in longer, but
Um,
people have also been in shorter.
yeah, you have to understand that you have to be okay with losing,
Yeah.
and you have to be okay with what the team wants. I'm having a very hard time. I had a very hard time learning that concept over the years because when you're from a competitive background like I am,
Yeah.
or the most people that I work out with, it's hard to understand that concept. Wait, you want me to be okay with losing, but you also want me to be okay with what the team wants to do. And if they're going slow, I have to go slow. if they're going fast, I have to go fast. It's one of those weird concept things that you don't get in other sports, like other team sports, like football or baseball or soccer or, all these quote unquote team sports. You know, isn't that so weird?
I think that it's similar to most other team sports in that especially when played by non-pros,
Mm-hmm.
because every what I had this revelation at one point, and I was like, well, duh. It was sort of like, well, obviously. I was lining up with, it must have been like a couple of hundred people to do some martial arts thing in Vegas at one point. It was like a big thing in Vegas. It was Shotokan competition or something.
Mm-hmm.
And I was looking around me, and I'm like, everybody here is going to lose this except for like one person. Like all these people are here so they can compete. And you have to have, because I was never like super competitive at that. I was not very good at it. I lost my first match and then I was out. Actually,
Mm-hmm.
I think I got two matches. I lost them both and then it was out. But I think you have to be able to find it in yourself to accept that there may be 5,000 marathoners in the race and you're not going to be a number one. Because if you think you're going to be a number one, your chances are 1 in 5,000 that you're the best trained person there. If you are, you probably know you are, and you probably know that you're not if you're not. But with paddling, it's kind of like maybe a mystery more, because you don't often get to race with other people, and you don't know what you're going to get when you're on a boat. Like sometimes you'll be racing with a new group of folks,
Yeah.
or not the crew that you're usually used to. Like if you train on Tuesday, right, there's a certain group of folks who can make it on Tuesday. If you train
Yeah.
on Saturday, there's a group of people who make it on Saturday, right? And then when you get to the race, well, a lot of people are there on the race, and then you're sorted by however they're aligning the boats, and you're in
Usually,
that group of people,
yeah.
but you're not necessarily with the same people you're training with. So is that more like, and then you're definitely going to have to deal with people like me, Naya, who are like, yeah, I'm here for fun. That must be rough to deal with.
Well, usually boats are done by time trial, weight, and
And
uh,
availability, right? Like, which
yeah,
boats are you going to be on during the day?
yeah,
So,
yeah, availability plus attendance.
yeah.
For so and the fact that I don't mind being in a boat with somebody who only shows up at maybe like 4 times a month. But if I know you're doing something outside of that, if I know you're on, let's just say, Hano Hano, and you're paddling and you're in a race, well, I know you're paddling. I know you have the ability to paddle. I know that you can do certain things. It's people who don't show up and just show up maybe once a month and then race. And I'm like, dude, why are you even here? Why why? I've had to come to terms with the fact that it's
Paddling means different things to different people.
exactly.
Yeah. Yeah.
And to me, paddling is my passion, my life. It's my happy place. It's where I get clarity. It's where I do my workout. It's where I feel that I can show the world that I'm just not, you know, Lofa's sister. It's or Mosie's daughter or NFL. It's my place where I can be me. And I haven't met a lot of people who have that passion, you know, about that sport. It means different things to different people. You, the fact that I get to talk to you about paddling, I get to befriend you with paddling, I get to open up to you sometimes on the water. You're my family on the water. You know, you're my family. You're stuck with me, good or bad. You're stuck with me. I don't care. You're not going to get rid of me. But I can tell you that if someone were to talk badly about you, if someone were to do something to harm you, oh, best believe that I got your back, and those people are going to pay.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, so that's how
Paddlers
much
are
of my
hard like that.
yeah. We got we're a strange bunch,
There's
and
a
I
reason why
love
we
it.
call our pedals blades.
They let me have a legal weapon. That's what I'm for. Anyway, so that's just my own thing, and I think that those elements that are in paddling can easily be seen in Firefly and Serenity,
Yeah,
and
yeah, it's so
and
true.
and
It's so true.
unfortunately, damn, Josh, it's your
Josh.
fault. It's your fault. And with that, let's go into the investing portion of the show. We're
Yeah,
not a pod.
so
We're calling ourselves a show now, right? We're
we
not
are
a
a show.
we're
We're
a
not
show.
a pod anything because really there's no pods anymore.
I'm sure we can find a pod, but it would be somewhere
Yeah, we're
on
just
it.
we're just a show. We're just
We're
a
a show.
show.
We're a show.
Eventually we may record an audio version of this, but yeah, if you leave a comment and ask for one,
We will
maybe that will
deliver.
make it more likely. I have had someone ask for it because they're like, "Oh, it'd be so much more convenient if you recorded it," and I'm like, "Oh, but it's so much work." Well, we'll see. We'll see
You
what
don't know
happens.
what we do just to do this.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So the show's like uh, produced and edited by, well,
Yours truly.
edited by nobody, produced by
Obviously,
us, and loaded to YouTube by us. So this is
doing
the production crew
the
and the
script by
writers
us. Yeah,
and yeah,
everything.
and
So
everything. So
it's all us. But please
it's all us.
tell us. I would love to know the investing portion and what you have been up to since we last did the last show.
Yeah,
So
so it's been a long pocket of nothing since we did the last show, and I'd like to say that I have a good excuse, and I do. I've been so both of us have been doing a lot of stuff. So we've had our big festival, we've been doing races, I've been going to conventions, and you've been getting yourself healthy, and that's
I've just been
awesome.
doing Yeah, I've just been doing surgeries and sitting on my butt.
Yeah. And so I wanted to bring back some of the things that I learned at my conventions and talk about them from an investing standpoint. You've probably already seen all of these things because they're updates from D23 or Comic Con. In this particular case, I'm going to talk about the D23 update because the Comic Con one we already covered before, and I want to cover specifically D23. Talk about and so D23 is Disney's convention. It's their fan convention, but really it's very close to being an investor convention. So when you go there, there are a lot of business type things that you can get into. For
Mm.
example, there's an Imagineering session
Oh.
that was pretty interesting. There are sessions on history. There are sections on a lot of the shows that they run for the different networks. So things that Fox owns, things that some of the other studios are doing. But for this, my focus, the things I love really are around Disney Animation, Pixar, Lucasfilm, Marvel, and I'm gonna I'm gonna also talk briefly, but I don't consider them one of my favorites. The 20th Century Studios. I
Mm.
will say this: I appreciate that they dropped the word Fox off of 20th Century Studios. The word Fox is now gone, so 20th Century is now 20th Century.
You just dated yourself. You know that, right?
No, I don't think I dated myself that much. That was a recent thing, wasn't it?
Fox, 20th Century Fox. I remember that when I
21st
was a
century? Oh my
no
gosh, is it
20
21st?
20th Century Fox was like back when I was a kid.
No,
They
they
had all
still
they had the shows.
have. I really dated myself? I
I
don't know when they did this, but anyway, it's just called 20th Century Studios.
okay.
But when I go back and I watch like uh stuff. I'm all right. Stop. I'm gonna go back. I'm gonna talk about D23 now. We're gonna
Go
talk
to
about it.
D23.
Okay, so lots of stuff came out. I'm gonna really quickly go through some of these things, and I'm gonna only focus on some of them because otherwise I'd be here all day and all night. So for live action with Disney, not my favorite thing, but had some interesting things. So they're making Disenchanted, which is enchanted, but with like weird, like I live in suburbia now kind of situation. Eh, I don't know.
Eh.
Hocus Pocus 2, which looked okay, but the crowd went wild, and it was a certain group of people, mostly women, I think, screaming. And I'm like, wait, I don't know anything about Hocus Pocus. I missed it, and I realized went looking for it on I went looking for it on Disney Plus because they're promoting it because Hocus Pocus 2 is now out on Disney Plus. By the way, I am a shareholder of Disney, just so everybody realizes. So I'm advertising for stuff on Disney. I'm not paid to do this. I pay them essentially, or I pay them a
Something
lot. I pay
happens.
Disney so much. I put my money where my mouth is, but I also do own stock, so I do benefit on one end or the other. Anyway, Hocus Pocus. I had never seen it. It came out in '93. Did you see it? Did you go to see it
I
in the
love
theaters?
that. I went to go see it in the movie theaters.
All right,
I
so
watch it.
should I watch it? Is it good?
Do you like Bette Midler and Sarah Jessica Parker?
I do not like Sarah Jessica Parker. I do not think she's funny. I don't understand why people like her. Bette Midler, not really. No, no, I don't.
There's just so many good lines in Hocus Pocus,
Good lines I write. I like writing. I like good writing.
and
Is it slapstick? I'm trying to understand what this
sort of,
show is.
sort of. So it wasn't a show; it was a
What
movie.
this movie is. Sorry.
It's a movie,
Yes, yes, it's a movie. No, I knew that. I used the wrong word.
and so that to me, okay. Think of a movie from your childhood that everybody loved, that nobody got them. Like, just think of it
Okay,
like,
so I'm thinking about so it's a movie I did not actually see until much later on. I'm thinking of this as is it if it's like not the Corpse Bride, the one with Jack Skellington. What's that one called?
The Nightmare Before
Nightmare
Christmas.
Before Christmas. Everyone fucking loved that movie, and I watched it and I was like, huh, I didn't get
Well,
it. Like I feel like it's one of those films where I'm worried that if I watch Hocus Pocus, I'll be like, I don't get it. Is
it's
it is it one of those?
for me. It was the time where I could look and be like, oh my god, that's so cool. Um,
What
I
about it was
love.
cool though?
Okay, first of all, they
Like
had a they had a
hook me.
book. They had a book. that had an eyeball, and it was made of skin, and it came alive, and it was cool because she read out of it. That with,
Okay. Pause
yeah,
for a moment. Are you familiar with the Necronomicon from Evil Dead and Evil Dead 2 and from Army of Darkness? Are you familiar with the Necronomicon?
I'm familiar with Army of Darkness. Yes.
Okay. So is it like the Necronomicon book where it's like
Yes, but it doesn't kill people. You just read spells from it. It opens itself. It's just one of those movies that just takes you back in time in the '90s, and you're like, dude, that was so '90s. That was just
so
it.
90s?
It was the transitional period of classic family goodness with one-liners with this Halloween themed where it wasn't too scary, but
It
it
was
was
scary enough to
scary.
show your kids and have some
Yeah,
fun together and
yeah,
okay.
yeah,
Okay. I mean, Halloween's coming up. I need things on my watch list, and they can't be too long because Halloween's actually getting kind of close.
yeah.
So,
I gotta go
okay.
pick out my outfit too. I
I
don't know
think
what
I'll
I'm
do
gonna.
a Hocus Pocus 1 and Hocus Pocus 2 with maybe with June and see if we can do. All right.
All right,
So
sounds good.
let me move on. So more live action. There's Peter and Wendy. They brought out the folks who are playing Peter, Wendy, and Tiger Lily, and I completely thought that the person playing Tiger Lily was a different person than it was, and I was like, "Oh, is that?" And then I was like, "What? Wait, she's not Native American or anything like that." And then I got all pissy, and then June's like, "No, it was this woman you've never heard of before." I'm like, "Oh, okay." So
I,
I think they're trying to like repair the whole Tiger Lily thing. That's why they brought her out, and they're like, maybe this time she'll have a speaking part. I don't know. I'm hoping. And then there's Haunted Mansion, which I outlined here. It looks, it actually looked good. I was watching. I was like, dude, I would watch that. It was not. I don't think in any way related to the Haunted Mansion that they made with uh,
Eddie Murphy.
Eddie Murphy. Yes. Sorry, my name and actors. I'm awful. I'm awful. If I don't have it in my notes, I can never remember it. So yes,
That's
with
why you
Eddie,
have me. That's why you have me.
I don't think it's at all related to the one with Eddie Murphy. It looks like it's like a brand new concept, but it seems to have like really solid hooks into the ride, and it
Hmm.
looks funny, and it's got a solid cast, and maybe romance. I don't know
Hmm.
for sure on that one. I'm not going to count it. There's Mufasa. I'm just going to blow over that one. You know what I
Lion King.
mean?
Yeah,
It's
Lion King.
live action, but it's
Mm, mm-mm,
CGI, so
no.
I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen there. Snow White with Gal Gadot and Rochelle Zegler or Rachel Zegler. I don't know. Sorry, I don't know. I don't know. Gal Gadot, however, makes a badass evil queen. She like in costume. When she was in costume, you looked at it and it's like, wait, is she really the queen? Like she looked like she might as well have been the animated version of it. I was
Wow.
dumbfounded as to how perfect she was. So casting wise, perfect.
Good for Wonder. Good.
Chef's
Good.
kiss for casting.
Good for Wonder
However,
Woman. Good for Wonder Woman.
yeah. Good for her. She needs to get into the she needs to shift universes
Yeah.
because poor Wonder Woman. She's like she runs the entire DC cinematic universe, and they seem to have forgotten about her, and it's
I
like,
know.
what are you doing? Okay, so Snow White, I'm hoping will be good. Snow White, the old Snow White, the
Mhm.
animated one, the songs are awful, absolutely awful. I understand why it's an important film because it's the first time it was ever done, but wow, what a misfire. Okay, Little Mermaid. I just want to before you say anything, before you say anything, I would like to share something. I would like to share something. They said very little about it. They basically were like, I just want to share my experience while I was watching it. We're all in there together, right? Dark thing. They finish with a Snow White presentation. They put up the next thing and they're like, here's a preview of the next thing that's coming. And it's like, right? They start doing the singing, and I'm like, oh, sounds like Little Mermaid. I'm like, sounds exactly like Little Mermaid. Are they just showing us a preview for the film? And then they've got the thing coming in. The preview we saw was different than
Mhm.
the one that
Shown.
was shown online. We got a bigger, fuller preview
Mm.
in the convention hall. And then so when I say so yeah, what you guys got in public was you got a preview that was like an abbreviated version of the song, a little bit of her singing. What we got was that entire song fully CGI'd up, like it was done, it was ready for film. And it started going, and you see the tail come out and you're like, who is this? And then you hear the voice, this beautiful immaculate voice. And Halle Bailey is the name of the actress, by the way. Halle Bailey sounded just like, and I don't know the name of the woman who did the original Little Mermaid. I don't know who it was. She sounds exactly like the original in the movie, so much so that like everyone was like shocked. And then like brought down the house with like how good the animation looked. Now you can tell it's CGI. She's kind of flying around. Her hair looks a little weird because like as someone who falls in the water a lot, there's a reason why my head looks like this. And part of the reason is, I'm bald. Also, I don't want like hair like your hair just goes everywhere it's in the water. It just goes everywhere. Her hair was definitely under control, but the rest of it looked amazing. Amazing. She comes on screen and she just ruled, and the crowd went nuts. And afterwards, I kind of didn't even think about this. Afterwards, like I got online. This was after like I was done with the convention and they started putting things out, and they're like, she's black. And I'm like, well, yeah. I mean, but she's fucking perfect. And I was like, are you kidding? Is this gonna be what we're arguing about now? I'm like, God damn it. God damn it. I was so frustrated with people. Just so I'm like, can you not just fucking put that down for 5 seconds? My God, people, take a fucking
This-
break. Maybe it's because in the preview, they didn't get the impact of her performance. I guarantee you nobody in that room was thinking she's black. At least I don't think any of us were thinking that. We were just fucking shocked by
yeah.
how perfect this was. It looked so good. Like I'm of all these things, the two things I'm gung ho about is Haunted Mansion because it looks fun, and Little
Uh-huh.
Mermaid because I just want to go and like fucking see the songs, and like it looks amazing. It looks
Yes.
absolutely amazing. Probably I all right, I don't want to make a prediction, but it has the potential. It has the potential for being more of a classic than the original because because it looked like it took all the strong things from the original and
Mhm.
it looks like it's delivering over and above from what I saw.
Okay.
I hope it does. I really hope it
Uh,
does. I
so now you're making me want to see this, even though I don't like live action.
I don't like live action either. Like
I
I
I,
have
I
not liked most
and
of the
it's
live
not
action
because it
adaptations.
it's not because of Little Mermaid or whatnot. I went to go see Lion King with my nephews
Hmm?
in Washington, and I'm like,
You mean the live action or the?
the when they had the animals and they were talking, and it was real animals, I
The
guess, or
the CGI animals. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, yeah. Okay.
But I'm just like, this,
This blows.
yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I swore off all
Well,
um
all right. So I watched Maleficent and I was like, okay, new story, new thing. I'm like, it's okay. I felt like Maleficent worked. But then I
yeah.
watched with Beauty and the Beast. I watched Beauty and the Beast and I was like, eh,
Mm, yeah.
it didn't have the same emotional power as the original. Not at
So and
all.
yeah. So you're saying that when you saw the trailer and everything, it was different from what we experienced. And funny that the only thing that people were talking about was the fact that she's black. Ariel is black. And I'm just like, and we've had this conversation. I think I brought it up, and we wanted it, and I didn't want to touch upon it today, but it's the cultural appropriation thing. Is it right? You know, people are saying, they bring this up, and I'm like, is it right for somebody to, you know, play, let's just say Lilo, who is of Mexican descent, or because they're, and I'm like, dude, just like you, I would look past and be like, dude, she has an amazing fucking voice. They don't see that. And we're gonna get into this with the Halloween special, but it's just like, that shouldn't matter. It shouldn't matter if she's black, if she's white, if she's Indian. She has a great voice.
She
That's
has a
all.
great voice.
And if she
Like
can pull off Ariel,
she landed that stuff so hard. And I she said that she spent so we saw the scene where she's singing the song of about the who's it and what's it galore, the
you know,
thingamabobs.
I want to be part of your
I want to be
world,
part of your world,
or
right?
something
I
like
know
that.
the song kind of anyway. So we saw that song. We saw the full song.
Hmm.
And she said that she was in a harness for 3 days,
Oh wow.
basically like because she's basically flying
Yeah.
flying through this CGI set. I'm assuming it's a CGI set, or maybe they're using one of those rigs like they
Yeah.
use for the Star Wars productions
Yeah.
that gives her like some frame of reference. She must have had some frame of reference because it looked really sharp. Like the things she was touching and looking at, like it all looked cool.
Yeah.
It still had a very animated feel. Everything popped like everything was very colorful and popped like
Hmm.
undersea kind of a
Yeah.
glowy kind of stuff. And in a bit of a CGI way, but it was okay. It was kind of like, yeah, we all know this is CGI. It's fine. It was like, yeah, let's lean into it a little bit. And
Yeah.
and I couldn't tell at many times what parts of her were CGI and what were not.
Yeah.
That was the cool part because she embodied that character so well. And the folks who did the CGI did it with so much care and artistry. And I'll say not realism, but artistry,
Yeah.
right? They dressed it up, they dressed her up, they made it all blend together. And I was like, damn, good directing. Like Rob
Yeah.
Marshall is directing it, and I'm not necessarily like a Rob Marshall fanboy, but after seeing that work, I was like, dude
So
knows what he's doing, I think.
so you're
So
getting me excited to see this, and regardless of what color she is, just go see the movie. If
yeah, go
Harlan's
see the
recommend
movie. Go
if
see the
Harlan's
movie.
recommending it, go see the movie. Um, yeah, you
Yeah,
shouldn't make a big deal of what ethnicity and color the main character is. Just
yeah. I think you're gonna have a lot of fun at that film.
just look past that.
Yep. All right, so
Don't
let's
be part of that world.
don't be part of that world. No, you don't.
All right, let's
No, you
go.
don't want to be that. All right, so let's skip over to Pixar. Pixar's next. Again, they're animated CGI warehouse powerhouse. Never had any flaws in their stuff until, well, maybe Little Dinosaur, maybe Um, maybe this latest movie. The only Pixar thing I've not seen yet is this weird thing that they did with Buzz Lightyear, and I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
why? Anyway, they're coming out with Elemental.
Mm-hmm.
Elemental looks pretty good. It looks sweet. It's a rom com between a
Mm-hmm.
fire elemental and a water elemental. That's all I'm gonna say. Leave you at that. I think Pixar is gonna finally deliver one of their rockin' stories again. So
Nice.
I'm looking forward to that. Also, a little bit similar note: Win or Lose is coming out. It's going to be their first television series. It's going to be for Disney Plus. I think it's
Mm.
going to be a limited series, and it's about softball. So again, it's about being in a sport, and it's about yeah, that's what I said first. I'm like softball, but remember, Pixar could do a movie about a rock, and you'd be like, yeah, I'm all in,
That's true.
right? But yeah, these are people, these are human beings. So it's a little bit different. It's a little bit more uh but the point of it is it's sort of like going into their imaginations and their hopes and dreams of each of the people and finding their perspectives. So that looked kind of cool.
Okay.
There's one called Elio, and yeah, I'm not going to say much about that one. There's Inside Out 2, which everyone was like, yay, Inside Out 2. And I'm like, okay. I hope it'll be good. She's a teenager, so
Oh, well, there you
I mean,
go.
I gotta say I nearly cried at Inside Out 1, so it's a when I say I nearly cried, that's a lot. My tear ducts don't work properly.
I can
I have extraordinarily dry eyes, and it's like a legit medical condition. Like it's very hard for me to cry. So yeah, saying I almost cried means basically another person would be in like straight up tears.
I could tell you the medical code for that too.
Can you really? Okay, yeah.
Yeah,
What is
I'll
it?
tell you later. I'll tell you later.
Yeah, she's like, I
Later.
have to look it up. I have to look it up. You don't have to have things memorized. You just need to know where to
No,
find the information. That's
exactly. All
all.
right.
Okay,
Moving on.
so let's move on to Disney animation. Zootopia Plus is coming out. Woohoo!
A plus. A plus. A
I
plus.
I don't know what that means. I didn't take good notes on this one. I think that means that they're making a series for Disney Plus, but it could be a film. I'm sorry, but it looked fun. I'm a huge fan of Zootopia. I love the entire concept of animated animals standing on their hind legs wearing pants. I love it. Give me more animals wearing pants. Okay. Now, Disney Animation also has, for the first time, a Pan African collaboration.
Hmm.
So apparently, they got word of a group of producers in Lagos, Nigeria, who were they basically wanted to create the Disney of Africa, and they were intrigued. And Disney, not like a parks or sort of thing, but like an entertainment conglomerate kind of thing. And they were intrigued by this, and they reached out to them. I think they had been creating comics or something in sort of preparation for this, or at least doing development work. And they reached out to them, and they're like, "Hey, we saw you. We were impressed by whatever it is they saw, and they ended up forming some sort of collaboration. So this is going to be, I think they said, the first collaboration between Disney Animation and another studio, which I didn't like that. That didn't even dawn on me for a second, but I was like, yeah, that's right. Disney Animation just does their own stuff. They don't ever work with other studios. They're going to be
Hmm.
working with this Pan African group, and they're creating a show called, and I hope I'm pronouncing this correctly. It's Iwaju. It's IWA with a act with an act. Where's the accent going? I'm sorry, I'm backward. The accent goes like that. Uh, JU again with an accent that goes like that. Um, it looks sharp. It actually looks really good, and it's based in like future Lagos. There's a town, like the way Lagos is set up. I guess there's part of the town that's on an island, kind of like
Mm.
Manhattan is, and then there's a part of town that's not on the island, so it's like Brooklyn kind of idea, right? And then you've got like the poor side, which is not on the island, and the rich sides it's on the island, and then you've got this tech conglomerate leader, and you've got his kid, and you've got this other kid who's like an inventor, and they form this thing, and then there's like mobsters, and it sounded really cool. I was like, it's sort of like this mobster thriller thing for kids with a backdrop in African culture, and the animation looked cool. Everything about it looked pretty cool. So I was like, I want to see this. I'm excited about this one. Then they have Strange World, which you've probably seen previews for, and Wish, which is a new one. Wish is going to again star Alan Tudyk as the star, I believe. Wish is about the star. So, you know, the When You Wish Upon the Star song? It's that star. It's a wishing star. And it's about the wishing star and some girl.
Oh.
And how the wishing star came to be created or something. I don't know. They they talked this one up a ton. They're hoping it's going to be their next classic. I I don't know. I don't know.
We'll see.
Maybe, maybe not. All right,
We'll
let's
see.
get over to Lucasfilm and Marvel. So where my heart lies. Okay, so Lucasfilm comes out, and they're like bringing back the hits. They're
Nice.
bringing back the hits. First of all, they announced Andor, and they gave us. Well, I mean, Andor. People knew Andor was coming, but they basically gave us a little bit more information about it. And I've got notes here, and now I'm looking at my notes, and I'm like, oh, really? So, because I've been watching Andor, and I'm like, I was so worried. I was like, oh no, are they going to end it after 8 episodes? Okay, so the creative Jason Bourne is running Andor. It's a spy thriller. We're getting 12 episodes now, 24 episode by. We
Oh
will
wow.
have 24 episodes of Andor. I will say this, it is a slow burn.
Oh,
I think we're on episode 4 right now as of the filming of this. Maybe on episode 5. No, I think we're on episode 5 right now because I just finished it. And I will say this, awesome. Love it. It is a bit of a slow burn. It is definitely more adult. So like if you're a young person and you're like looking for like action and adventure with like a group of young people who are exploring the force and stuff like that, that's not what this is. This is a spy thriller with a bunch of bureaucrats who are having pissing matches with each other in a sort of weird like empire office situation, and this disaffected sort of angry like corporate sort of disaffected male with a really overbearing mom, and like this is the most adult show of all of the Lucasfilm stuff that I have ever seen, and I am all there for it. Episode 1 starts with the main character walking through a brothel area. I was like, what's happening? And I was like, you know how in the second of the prequels, in episode 2 of Star Wars, they kind of crash into the bottom of Coruscant as they're chasing that villain, and they're kind of walking through that sort of very sort of uh, smarmy area where they're like gambling clubs and drinking clubs. It's like that, but
oh,
like with you've got rebels and you've got spies and you've got people who don't trust each other, and it is so far so good. Highly recommend it. I mean, obviously by now I've already seen parts of it, so like if you haven't
mhm.
seen it, Naya, you feel
Like,
free to wait until they drop all the episodes so you can at least watch a full season
yeah,
if you
you
want.
know how I do it.
Yeah, if you want to binge it, do it because they're kind of short, and it is kind of a slow burn. You could probably
Uh,
get through all the episodes in a day easily. I'm
if
I'm all there for it, but again, I'm okay with a little bit more artsy adult kind of message from it.
Yeah, you know me. If it's too slow, I'm gonna lose interest.
I
So
know, I know. And to comfort you, it is by the Jason Bourne guy, but the cinematography is straight up normal, the normal kind of cinematography you would get from a Star Wars stuff. So
okay,
it's not,
I won't get seasick.
yeah, you're not going to get seasick from this one. At least I don't think he did any of that stuff. I'm pretty
All
sure
right.
not.
Oh, I'm excited about this next
Okay, the
one.
next one. The next one.
I'm
All right.
excited.
This has a special place in my heart. My
Me
dad, unfortunately, is dead. Um,
too.
and so this brings back memories of when I would go over to his house and he'd be like, "So, what do you want to do?" I'm like, "Let's watch a VHS tape." And my choice almost always was either Ghostbusters or Willow. Willow is coming back. Warwick Davis is in it. The original star of Willow. Um, and Christian Slater is taking on the Mad Mardigan role, I believe, and because Val Kilmer is not going to be able to be in it, unfortunately. Val was in Maverick, so if you want to see Val, you can like get a little fan service from Maverick, but he's not in the shape to be able to be in it. So Christian Slater's
No,
taking that on.
Willow. I
But
love Willow.
Willow, I really liked that show as a kid. I don't think I actually turned it on the other day and I'm like, can I rewatch this? Like, is it rewatchable?
You asked yourself that.
I did because I admit I don't actually remember it that well.
So I remember watching this for the first time, and I remember being terrorized by the opening scene.
Yeah, the opening. I did watch the opening scene again. Like
That
I got about 10
scarred,
minutes into it. That opening scene is rough.
eh,
I was
eh,
like, oh, dark.
like I remember being a kid and watching that, and I'm like thinking, no, no, that can't be happening.
There's a
But
lot going on in that scene,
that
and there's a lot implied in that scene. There's so much. If you're a kid, you're like, wait, what? Like if
why
your language skills limited and you don't catch what they're saying,
yeah,
they're so the may I share what happens in that intro scene?
please go ahead. It's
I'm
so
sorry,
traumatic.
I don't. All
It's
right, so just a little bit.
you can
So
just share it. Just go ahead, share all.
all right,
It's
the
okay.
implication in that opening scene of it's a 30-year-old movie, 40-year-old movie. So I'm
Yeah.
like, yeah, it's a spoiler if you haven't seen it. But all right, so that opening scene, it's not a plot spoiler exactly. It's
No.
the framing. So there is a prison where there are all these women and they're babies. And one of the women still has her baby, and a lot of the other women, their babies are gone.
God.
Their babies have been killed, all of them. It's been a massacre. And they imply this as they're talking to the woman who is going to get that last baby that was just born, getting ready to eradicate that last kid. And that kid is saved by
An old woman.
an old woman who I believe worked there as like
Yeah.
someone who like like feeding them or taking care
Yeah.
of them or something like that outside the bars, and like finally was like, I'm gonna do what I can. I'm gonna smuggle at least one kid out. Smuggles a kid out, makes it into the mountains in the frigid cold, like walking with this kid and like running away from dogs, and the dogs finally catch her, eat her, and she deposits the kid on a piece of driftwood and sends it down a river, and it's
And
like,
all you hear is this
and
screaming
you just
and
hear the
ripping.
screaming and the ripping of the dogs eating the woman.
And so
It's like, whoa, that's a rough way to start a movie for little kids. That is so Disney right there.
yeah,
That
and
is
you're
that
listening.
is like Mufasa being torn apart by the fucking like Anna being trampled by the
Yeah.
animals, and like,
So as a child, you're watching this and you're thinking, that no, that and mind you, after that, it gets
it gets
better.
light. It
It
gets
gets
light after that.
But the fact is that
The whole
is
thing is
such
swords and sorcery and light,
it,
and
it,
like Warwick Davis and his kids are
yeah.
super cute, and his wife and Mad Mardigan is
Oh
fun,
god.
and
Yeah, the
like
princess and Aurora. Aurora was her name, right?
Aurora. I,
Princess.
I didn't get to that part. I didn't
Yeah.
remember like her name.
But there was a scene, and my favorite line in this, if you go watch it, Mad Mardigan is feeding like this bark thing to the kid, and Willow's character is like, "You can't feed her. You can't feed a
You
baby
can't
that,
feed a baby that
baby that."
bark.
And and Val Kilmer's line, "It puts hair on her chest."
I do remember that now.
I
I
was like,
remember that now.
I my mouth is just, but it was one of those magical times in your life. And side note, Warwick Davis's wife was a child in that movie with him. She was
Wait,
a friend.
wait,
Yeah,
what? Say that again.
Warwick Davis's. So the guy who
Current
played
wife
Willow, his current wife. Yeah,
is one of the kids from the movie.
yeah. So there was.
Keep in mind, Warwick Davis was
This
quite
is
young when this
young.
movie was
Yeah,
initially filmed.
he's yeah.
He's still
So
kind of young. Like
yeah,
he's not that much older than us.
yeah.
He's not that much
But
older than me.
it was funny because there was actually a scene with her, and I think she was one of the blonde girls that was, she was probably about, I don't know, maybe 10 at the time, and she has the same condition that he has.
Hmm.
So, but it's so he married his friend's daughter when she got older, and he's like, yeah, Willow has a special place in my heart. That's where I met my
Where I
wife,
met my
and
wife. Yeah, of
yeah,
course. Yeah,
years
that's
later.
cool. I
But
didn't know that. I did
but
not
yeah,
know that.
I love Warwick. I love Warwick, so he's
Yeah,
awesome.
he's awesome.
So
Oh,
let's
and that guy can deliver a line. Oh my gosh.
I didn't make. She's nowhere. I just made her disappear.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I love. So let's get on. Let's
Okay,
continue.
let's
But
let's move on.
I'm so looking forward to Willow.
Okay, so Lucasfilm Animation is bringing out Bad Batch season 2 and Tales of the Jedi, which looks pretty cool. Yeah. So some of the folks in there was an Ahsoka tale, there was a Dooku tale. It looks pretty vibrant and energetic, so I'm kind of excited to watch that. And then back to live action stuff. They showed a little bit of Ahsoka. Did they really? No, I don't know if they had even filmed anything. So, yeah, Ahsoka's coming. I'm a huge Ahsoka fanboy. I love her character arc, and I completely got owned by Dave Filoni and his plan for her. So I don't know if you realize this, but Ahsoka was brought in, and he knew people were going to be angry at her, because whenever you bring in a new major character to a Star Wars franchise, people are like, "Who is this person? This person's awful," and it takes a long time to get to know them and for people to believe in them. And so he's like, "I'm just going to short circuit this. I'm going to just feed into it," and he made her as annoying as possible. And so for several episodes, she's just this annoying, obnoxious girl, and just driving Anakin nuts. And I didn't like her. Nobody liked her. And then he's like, okay, now that I've got you hating her and right where I want you, he turns her around and he gives her this. I think he said it was like a 3 episode arc where basically he teaches her how not to be a jerk anymore. And at the end of that, like people loved her. And so he's like, yeah, we know what you're gonna do, and he totally manipulated us, and I'm all there for it, all there for
Ah,
it. So I still love Ahsoka, and I'm hoping that the Ahsoka live action is going to be cool. I don't know what they're gonna do with it. They didn't really give a lot of hints. Skeleton Crew is coming out with Jude Law. That looks like it actually could be fun. They're going back to a little bit of the sort of feel of the Star Wars Christmas special. There are a bunch of kids in it for whatever reason. It's like a group of orphans who have been who are getting the help from Jude Law to do something. I think they're on some sort of adventure. I don't know. Mandalorian season 3 is coming out. Need I say any more? If you're not going to watch that, you don't like Star Wars. Katie Sackhoff is super excited. Katie Sackhoff is Starbuck from Battlestar Galactica, the most recent version of it.
Hmm.
Katie Sackhoff is one of my favorite just people, actor kind of people. So when I see her, because she's like got this luminous generosity in her performances, and she is super expressive about things. Her giddiness about season 3 of Mandalorian was infectious. Like, I'm just because she's so excited about it makes me excited about it.
Nice.
So I'm all there for Katie Sackhoff, and it looks like she's going to be a major part of it. She was featured prominently in the previews, and of course she's the leader of the planet of Mandalore. Probably she's in the throne room, the same throne room that they have in the animated series. So I'm assuming she is. And then they brought out the showstopper, Indiana Jones with Phoebe Waller-Bridge and the last performance by Harrison Ford. If you don't go see that, you must not be an action film aficionado. I
I
there's
don't know
no
how
way
I
you
feel about
can't
that.
you don't there's no way you can't go see that film.
I don't know how I feel about that. That's going to be bittersweet for somebody who has watched probably the entire Indiana Jones franchise.
Well, of course you
I
have.
I
Did
don't
you
I
play the
don't
video
know.
game? Zzz.
Yes, I did.
Okay, me too.
I was never good
I
at
played
it though.
Atlantis. I played Atlantis. Um, I don't know if there was another game besides Atlantis, but
I don't
I,
know how I feel about that one. I may cry at that one. I may cry.
you're gonna go see it. And
I'm gonna go see it, but
from the
yeah,
preview, it looked it looked awesome. And Phoebe Waller-Bridge, come on. So
Harrison
Phoebe Waller-Bridge
Ford.
did Fleabag, writing and producing and starring in it. She's super talented. I think she won Emmys for that. Is that
Mm.
what you get for television Emmys? I don't know.
You get an
It's not like
award.
I'm a pop culture analyst or anything like that.
No, it's not like we have a
It's
pop
not like we
culture
have a pop
show.
culture show. It's not like I should know these things. I really don't like award shows. I don't believe in them because if Willow doesn't win, does it matter?
No,
No, not really.
no,
Okay, so let's come on to Marvel.
Marvel,
Marvel. They kicked it off with Wakanda Forever,
of
and
course.
everybody, as always, just loves Wakanda Forever. I mean, come on. There was a cool session afterwards that I got to attend that had Winston Duke, Letitia Wright, and Nate Moore in it, and they did a little talk about the movie and or the original movie, and how it felt to kind of go and be ambassadors for the film afterwards. And they were talking about how Black Panther gave people permission to dream because oppression is about feeling that you cannot ever do that thing, you know? And when people saw Black Panther, they're like, wow, I didn't feel like I was part of that. I didn't feel like I could do that thing. And they saw it and they're like, this group of people inspires me to do whatever the hell I want to do. And
Yeah.
and and yeah, Winston Duke was talking about this. And he was very emotional in his stolid sort of way, and
And I love what you wrote
so
too.
important.
I love what you wrote about Chadwick.
I'm just taking notes. I think Nate Moore said this. So Nate Moore was talking about how, because people were probably going to be sad when this movie came out, right? Because we all feel like we lost Chadwick, right?
Mm-hmm.
Especially those of us who are fans of the film and other things that he's done. And so Nate said, "Loss is not the end," and that's what the film Wakanda Forever is about, right? We all have to go through loss. but loss is not the end. And how do we find the strength to move forward? And that's what the film's about. And I'm like, how appropriate, how important this is to have. And if we had to lose Chadwick, what can we take from it and to make the world a better place, if not to teach people how to deal with loss? I mean, I,
Yeah.
this movie looks like it's got a lot of heart, and also looks super cool, right? It looks like it's your typical thing, but it's also not your typical thing. So, but just like Black Panther was, right? It
Yeah.
was a Marvel film, but it was also so much more important than that. And I think that Wakanda Forever probably is going to go down that same unique path.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, then they dropped Ironheart. Ironheart, by the way, is a character
Mm-hmm.
and a movie. The character Ironheart will be in Wakanda Forever. The trailer has her, so I'm not spoiling this for anybody. I don't think
Okay.
so. And then Ironheart has a movie or a show. I can't remember. I think it might be a show for Disney Plus. Ant-Man and Wasp: Quantumania is coming out. That looks fun, but Werewolf by Night is what really got me. Werewolf by Night drops today, which is the 7th of October, and I'm probably not even going to have this up on YouTube until maybe tomorrow. So you can probably watch where you should be able to watch Werewolf by Night right now. It looks fun. It looks scary. It is a horror film,
Mm-hmm.
FYI. It
Oh.
is in black and white. It is in the style of your 1940s, 1930s horror films. Check it out. That looked really cool.
Awesome.
Did
Next one,
you
I
used
I,
to
I want.
watch did you used to watch those old like scary Vincent Price things when you were a kid like I did?
I did. Um, and the funny thing was, he scared me more than the
And he
actual.
was the hero in a
Yeah,
lot of them.
he scared me more
He was
than
like
the.
a creepy hero. You know, you know what? We don't have anybody like that anymore. Can you think of somebody like Vincent Price today? Like I kind of miss Vincent. He was
No,
the
I mean
creepiest hero ever.
the only thing, like, I mean, the only one that comes close, and it's not even in this time, was Elvira, but she was freaking hilarious.
Elvira was awesome.
Yeah,
What is her normal name? Her
is it Eileen something? I don't know.
I don't know.
Wait, we have phones. We can look it up.
Why don't you look that up while I talk about the next couple things? So
Yes.
we've got Secret Invasion with Nick Fury and Maria Hill. We've got not with the characters Nick Fury and Maria Hill, obviously not real people. We've got Armor Wars coming, so we've got some new Stark armor. I think this might have been something that there's not a lot around Armor Wars. They weren't talking about it too much. Loki season 2 is coming out.
Mm.
That looked good. They teased Fantastic Four again. Basically,
Of
they're
course,
committed
yeah.
to it. They're like, yes, we're doing Fantastic Four. It is really coming. We're not going to tell you anything about it, but it's coming.
But coming.
And then they brought out the cast to Echo, which I believe is going to be a Disney Plus series. I don't know how long it is. It strikes me like it's probably going to be in the same line as the other Marvel stuff. So probably 8 to 10 episodes each
Mm.
for these, because they tend to be kind of short. But Echo looked really really good, and one of the things about it that I really liked was the the culture, right? So this is a different type of hero. It's anti Echo is an anti-hero, um, and she doesn't have her leg from the knee down, I believe. She doesn't have her left leg from the knee down, And so when she comes out on stage, she's got her prosthetic leg on, and I was like, oh, because I saw that because the character Echo in the film has a prosthetic leg. I always assumed that was CGI'd in. No, no, no. It's she doesn't have her leg from the knee down. So like that is like a prop that she's, or not a prop, but it's her. Like that's
It's an
her.
extension
That's
of
her
her.
leg. It's yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm assuming that they made her a special one for the movie, which I think she was also wearing at the presentation. I don't know. I was very far away. It's difficult to see. And then obviously she's got her powers. She has auditory powers because she is deaf, and
Hmm.
she is really deaf. So all the
They had to
cast
go
had to
search.
learn. That's why all the cast had to learn ASL.
They had to go search for this person.
She's perfect. She's yeah. They again, amazing job with casting. The Disney folks are doing. They're spending a lot of energy and making it a priority to cast well for
Yeah.
roles. And the casting for Echo was so solid, and the preview looked so good, and the cast, when they came out to talk about it, they didn't give away a lot of anything, but they were talking about it's kind of like you can tell a lot about a production just from how they talk about how they made it. I felt like this is a really solid group of people who care about each other, and they wanted to put together a great thing. And I'm like, I'm there for that. It looks amazing. It was super touching how all the cast members were thrilled to learn ASL, and they were doing their best to try to like uh, communicate with everybody as best they could and make it a nice experience for everybody. And yeah, it looked awesome.
Yeah. ASL is not an easy language
So you've
to
been trying to
learn.
learn ASL, and you were talking about this a little bit before.
That's a yes. That's a yes.
I'm cheering.
You're
This is
clapping.
all I
Yes.
know. I can
You're
clap.
clapping.
I can
Yes.
clap. I also learned. I also learned, and I'm going to do it horribly. I was trying to figure out how to say TM, so I think it's. All right, and I can't. I can't.
T T
TM.
M.
TM. So I wanted to add that to my book, and so I had to look it up, and I was like, oh, TM. I'm because I wanted to say how do you sign trademark? Don't ask. Yeah, it
Don't
doesn't make
ask.
any
You
sense.
can
So apparently they do it like this with the
yeah.
like that's the
T
way
M
you would say
T
TM
M
to.
T M. Yeah. I mean, I know how to say no, yes, thank you, boy, girl, play, music, paddle. All I can actually carry on a conversation. It'll be broken, but they'll know what
But you
I'm,
know some keywords.
and I can communicate smoothly than somebody who doesn't know how to
Okay.
do it.
Okay,
So
cool.
yeah, but yes, let's move on.
Let's move on. So another hero, Daredevil, born again. Daredevil's back. Think you all knew this because by now Daredevil has already come out as an extra character in She-Hulk, and
Hmm.
I haven't seen the episode yet, so don't say anything to me about it. But I did at this point get to see a preview of him being in the She-Hulk episode, so that was pretty awesome. Captain America NWO is coming out. Sorry, New World Order. That's just my abbreviation because I'm like, oh, obviously I'll
NWO.
remember that. Captain America New World Order is coming out. Uh, Tim Nelson is in it as the leader. So they're basically trying to bring in Hulk stuff so that they can use Hulk without actually having a Hulk movie because there's some contract difficulty with actually having a
Hmm.
Hulk movie because I guess Universal owns that, but they can still use
Wow.
the bad guys. So Tim Nelson is the leader. The leader is a Hulk villain, but he's going to be in New World Order. And then Thunderbolts is coming out. Thunderbolts is a bunch of misfit, basically all the broken heroes, the ones who are like the side characters you don't like.
Oh,
They're
okay.
putting them all together in a movie together, and they're going to give them uh
Her own movie.
uh what's her name, Louise Dreyfus, her,
Do
Julia
Julia.
Louis-Dreyfus as their leader, and it's basically going to be this action comedy. It
Is she gonna
sounds cool.
is she gonna dance in it?
I hope so. She's a little old to pull off that dance now. I hope she doesn't hurt herself.
All right,
Okay. And
cool.
then last and unfortunately least, 20th Century Studios. All
Fox.
they had to offer, Fox. They picked up Fox, and apparently Fox has been working on Avatar.
Mm,
And because James Cameron wants to make Avatar again,
why?
they're remastering Avatar in 4K, to which all I
Why?
can say is the more precise you make your CGI, the worse your CGI looks. And then they're making three more films, I believe. So there's going to be a series of four in the story. And the next one is called Avatar The Way of Water. And they then curtained everything off. They took the screens and they made them into 3D projection screens, and they handed all of us 3D glasses.
Oh
And
God.
then they showed us way more of the film than I wanted to see. And everybody there, and they walked. This was what made it harder. They walked the entire cast, including some people I really respect, like Sigourney Weaver, out right next to where I was sitting.
Oh,
Um, and we had to watch this in silence while, like, and they basically showed us like four or five clips from the film. All the while, I was like going, I don't like Avatar. I don't know if anyone here is an Avatar fan. I know that technically Avatar made a lot of money. I know this. The biggest I know it's the biggest in terms
mm-hmm.
of box office gross, but I don't know. And I also have heard people say Avatar is my favorite film, and then I'm like, you don't mean Avatar: The Last Airbender, the animated series? Or this is like Avatar is my favorite. And I'll be, oh, you mean Avatar: The Last Airbender, right? Not the movie, the animated series, the awesome one that Nickelodeon did. And they're like, no, no, the one with the blue people. And I'm like, oh, you liked that? So are you a fan? Are you a fan of Avatar? Anyway, but let me just finish my show and then I'll ask you the question.
Yeah,
Finish my story.
yeah.
And then it gets to the end and we're like not sure if we should clap or not. And then we're like golf clapping for this. After, by the way, giving standing ovation with like fucking shouts and hollers for things like Indiana Jones. And you know all these people are in the back, right? You know all these people are in
Ooh.
the back because you're in the back. They're all back there watching all this other stuff happen. They can see the audience reactions for everything. They just showed us their like most important movie, the one thing that they did, they closed off the entire theater for it. It's their grand finale. They're like gonna be like, oh, this is awesome, it's 3D, people are gonna love it. They're gonna be like, and all of us are like, we don't know these characters, we don't know these people, we don't understand what's going on. Why are they running around in a CGI forest? It looked it and oh oh my gosh. All right, can I
Oh,
just
he's getting serious
I'm
now.
getting
You're
serious.
taking.
I got to take my
You're...
glasses off for a second to rub my eyes. Can I just say this? Are you familiar with Are you familiar with the concept of the soap opera effect in video? Are you familiar with
Vague,
this? The
vaguely,
soap opera effect. So when you get your
vaguely.
television, are you the person who sets the television up, or is that your husband, or is that somebody else?
That's somebody else.
Okay, so when I set my televisions up, I'm very picky about what video settings I choose. I always choose um, the video setting that is preferred by the creator. Typically, film. And I'm talking about film, like
Film.
cellulose film
Yes,
is
film,
shot.
film.
Film is shot in 24 frames per second.
Yes.
So you've got a piece of film, right, right. It
Yep.
rattlesnakes through that whole thing, and it's like, okay, frame of full photographic image followed by frame of full photographic
Oh,
image followed by frame of full photographic image. That is how 24 frames per second works for film. Now, when you're recording for a soap opera in the old days, you would be recording for television, and you
yes.
were recording for interlaced television screens. So you're get interlaced means you're getting half each time. And
Yeah.
what they would do is they would do 30 frames per second interlaced. So basically you got 15 and 15 or 15 and 16, however the math works. It's like
Yeah.
20, it's like 29 and a half frames per second with 15 and 16 or some shit like that. I can't remember exactly what it is. But basically you you smooth the image out.
Yes.
And now we have the capacity on our computers to go 120 or even higher frames per second.
Yes.
This creates a smoothing effect. Smoothing effect's fantastic for watching something like football, where you're like, oh, I need to see where the ball is any given moment. It's fantastic for things like watching a video game, like if you're watching people play video games, or if you're playing a video game, you want to see where everything is at every given moment. You want to see where your mouse is. You want to see where anything might be on the screen. If there's someone who like pops out from behind a wall, it might be just for a fraction of a second. You want to be able to see them so you can scope in and get that headshot, right?
Yes.
Great for certain things. But the beauty of film to many people, including myself, is kind of watching it in the original artist's perspective. And for most of filmmaking history, artist's perspective has been beautiful single frames shared at 24 frames per second. There's some blurring that happens. So
Mm-hmm.
if I was to take a photograph at that speed, my hand going across the screen like this would end up being a bit of a blur. And so when
Mm-hmm.
that shot, it would be like my face in clear focus, and then a little bit of a blur of my hand, and then it would resolve as soon as my hand stopped moving. 60 frames per second, unfortunately, is the potential in 4K. For these, for this showcase, they showed us this in 60 frames per second. The problem with that is that it makes everything look hyper realistic,
Mm.
and and it ends up making all the sets look fake.
Mm-hmm.
You can tell it's a set. You can tell people are acting. You can tell they're wearing shoes or barefoot, or you can tell that something's off when there's not enough blur, when there's not enough vagueness. You
Mm-hmm.
can tell the difference between fantasy and reality very sharply when you have that much clarity of something. Also, importantly, when you move the camera, when you move the shot, when you're like, I'm going to move the camera
Yep.
around this thing, it's severely disturbing in that frame rate, especially when you're watching it in 3D, because
Oh God.
in 3D, you get to choose where to focus your eyes. It's not
Yes.
just like I'm looking to the left or the right of the thing. I also get to choose focus depth, right? I get to choose focal
Mm-hmm.
length. So I can look at the fish that are way over there and I can focus on them. And then that blurs out the person who's swimming here. Or I could focus on the person who's swimming here and then that blurs out the fish that are in the
Mm-hmm.
distance over there. And ooh, isn't that a cool technical trick? And in 60 frames per second, what that looks like if your camera is moving is too smooth, dare I say it,
Mm.
too artificial, too fake. You can tell the fish are wrong. You can tell the
Mm.
people are wrong. You can tell the
Ouch.
sets are stapled together. You can tell the plants are not real. You can see everything is just not quite right. And it is and I'm not even going to say it's uncanny valley because the CGI is great. CGI is
Mhm.
brilliant. Like James Cameron knows how to do CGI. It is beautiful. It is pretty. No problem there. But his perverse adherence to the idea of pushing filmmaking into 60 frames per second 4K is what makes the film too sharp to enjoy.
Mm.
And so at the end of this, there was no standing ovation other than the fact that everyone got up to leave.
And they did their little golf clap.
We did a golf clap and I felt honestly bad for them. And then I reminded myself they got paid millions of dollars and I am still I am still trying to find someone to put together my freaking room.
Yes, that back wall. I love the back wall. What have you done with the back wall?
Coming soon, I'm hoping. Yeah. So I'm trying to line it up. Unfortunately, my designer had a
Oh.
bit of a medical issue, and so
Ouch.
we're trying to.
I think you should just leave the tape there. I love the tape.
The tape's gonna stay until I can find something better. Yeah,
I love the tape.
the tape's gonna stay for at least a little while
I love it.
until I get enough pops to cover the tape with pops.
Send all your pops to him.
Don't
What?
send me your pops. I'm very judgy about my pops. I don't just buy any pops. I have specific pops I like.
Yes, he does. He's very judgy about his
So
pops.
that was a lot. That was a lot. I don't know.
Yeah.
Do we have time? We're already 2 hours in, Naya.
I mean,
Do we have time to read the waves?
I feel I feel pretty good about what we did. I don't think we need to read the waves necessarily. We could do them if you want, but we would just no pun intended. We would just be going through the motions. But no, I mean to answer your question. Well, first of all, Elvira's real name is Cassandra Peterson.
Cassandra Peterson. She's
You know,
awesome.
she's awesome.
Awesome person. She wrote a book, which, if you're into that sort of thing, is I heard a good read.
Yeah. Hopefully it doesn't
Haven't read
get
it.
on the hopefully it doesn't get on the banned book list.
Oh, I'm
That's
sure it
another
will be at
the,
some point because she
the,
talks about her
coming
trek
out.
to coming out of the
Yeah,
closet,
yeah.
either as bisexual
We,
or lesbian. I can't remember which, but
I think she's
she was definitely closeted.
she's I know she's not bisexual. Let's put it that way. um, but yeah, that's another topic that we can take up. The banned book list. I really don't like that. But yeah, no, I think where we ended is a cool place. Avatar uh,
Yeah, are you a fan? Like,
wasn't
how
really.
would you?
It
How would
wasn't
you?
really. Um,
Are you gonna go see Avatar? Is it gonna be on your list?
I may not. I don't know. I can't say right now because, to be honest, I really wasn't a big fan of the first one that came out.
I
I
wasn't either.
I because of the hype, I went to go see it, and the movie lends itself to a lot of good themes.
Oh, can I just say they're remastering it in that 4K that I hate.
Oh God,
So it's like,
yeah. Why?
why? They're
I
gonna
mean,
re-release it soon. So
yeah.
so
I
look out for it.
don't.
If you're a fan, go see it and drop a message in here and tell us why we're wrong. But
I will say, seeing the background of how Avatar came about, how doing the CGI with the phones and them acting, that was awesome. I like the technical aspect. They did a behind
yeah,
the scenes of how they made the movie. That's all cool.
that is
But
cool. Technically
I I
amazing.
don't I don't think I'm gonna go see it. Um, but no, I feel really good about where we are. Yeah, so we're gonna be putting out um, another another show closer to Halloween
Yeah, look
because
for that. And
we
I'm
are
I'm
gonna
trying
talk.
to get Naya to finish watching um the sell your
Sell
haunted
your
house. Sell your haunted house. So
Yes, I will
hopefully
do
that's going to
that.
be on the docket for Halloween. If not, maybe Hocus Pocus or maybe both. I don't know. What I
Hocus
might do Hocus
Pocus.
Pocus and Hocus
Yeah.
Pocus 2, and she might do Sell Your Haunted House, which is a K drama. So
Yes.
look forward to that for next time.
Yeah. No, we're gonna do a yeah. Well, we'll do something for Halloween. Um,
And
but
maybe even something about genetics, because I did get to go to the genetics conference that Illumina
yes.
put on. And so
So
the investing thing might be about the future of biomedical. And
yes.
I'm sorry to get overly technical with you, but don't worry. I'm not a doctor. I'm not a scientist. All I know about this stuff is basically what they told me. So, and sort of my general take on it as a consumer, as a
Yeah.
lay, as a relatively knowledgeable lay consumer. So, um,
Look for that.
look for that.
Um, Also look for coming pretty soon that Harlan and I have some stuff in the works that we are working on trying to build up uh, more of a uh, an audience for you guys. We are trying to get new product out for you guys as well. So we're gonna try and do a merch line. We're in talks about making some merch for you, and all those proceeds will we talked about going will be going towards the club that we paddle with the youth,
Mm-hmm.
the gliders there. We want to help them as much as possible. We love them, and we're just trying to get out everything. So it's rolling out. So the following months and next year, it's gonna be exciting for us,
Yeah,
Harlan.
and
I think.
right now my objective with the swag that we make, not necessarily going to be branded too heavily. It's going to be
No.
more like for fun. So
Yeah.
like I know there's a lot of paddle, like right now a lot of paddling clothes is like, oh, it's the event or it's the club, and it's like got giant like club logo or a giant
Yeah.
thing on it. I don't want that.
No.
I'm looking for some stuff that just looks cool. Something
Yeah.
where you're like, "Oh, I'm wearing this cuz it's awesome."
Yeah.
So,
So
but it's going to be a little bit fancy, and right now I'm thinking about superhero themes or science fiction themes for the clothing. We'll see what happens.
yeah.
Yeah, and so hopefully
So
a Riding the Wake clothing line will be coming out soon.
yeah. So good things. I did. He didn't know that I was going to talk about it, but since
It's
we're
fine.
sharing
It's
and then we're
fine.
we're
We're not
going.
committing to it. It's not
No,
like if it doesn't happen, it doesn't happen, but I want to make it
make
happen.
it happen. Yeah. It's not like
And
we're committing to paddling 18 miles, from, what is it, Catalina to Newport. Yeah, we're
yeah,
not
yeah.
doing that.
I
That's
I
not a
I
commitment.
think it's going to happen. I think it's going to
We're,
happen. And I'm almost sure I can do a good job.
we can do a good job. We can do a good job. But we want to say thank you so much for sticking with us.
Yeah, thanks for
Uh,
supporting our channel.
yeah, it's awesome. We love you guys. And with that, Harlan, I
Yeah,
think
so
I'll let you. Yeah, I'll take you out.
that's
Let's
today's show,
go.
everybody. Thank you for watching. Again, please like and subscribe us cuz we need it. And
We need it.
Naya, remind people how they can connect with us again.
Well, you lovely people that we love so much, you can connect with us at writingthewake2@gmail.com. You can follow us on both Instagram and Facebook at Riding the Wake, which is one word, or on Twitter at Riding Wake. Or you can do us a favor and just go to our website, ridingthewake.show, to see this episode or other episodes that you would like to see and ask Harlan and I some questions or just learn some paddling lingo or whatnot.
Yeah, and tune in next time for episode 18. We already let you know what's going to be in it, probably. It depends on how we feel. But until next time, hug the huli, and we will see you on the land or in the water. Peace, everybody.